this is what I got for Valentine's Day. My mom got it for me.
Aww.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
True love.
That actually sounds really sad.
True love.
My Valentine was from my mother.
You need to take a picture of it and put it on as a picture.
I got a Kylo Ren heart-shaped box of candy. Thanks, Mom.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Duck.
You
can't say.
Oh, are we playing? Oh, the game.
Ready?
Okay.
Set.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheetos.
Tiger.
Lion.
Bears.
Pirates.
Oh my.
Captain Crunch.
Cheetos.
Cereal.
Shoot! I just.
One more time. Ready?
Go.
Lightsaber.
Glasses.
Kylo Ren.
Pants.
Shirt.
Hand.
Face.
Microphone.
Feet.
Box.
Ring.
Carpet.
Hair.
Xbox.
PS4.
Legos.
Lego movie.
Universal Studios.
Disney.
Elsewhere.
Disneyland.
Universal Pictures.
Up.
Down.
Sideways.
Frontways.
Blouse.
Marilyn Monroe.
Buttons.
Bill Clinton.
Jackie Chan.
Dude, oh,
That was way longer than 2 seconds.
You suck. Oh. You know what time it is? It's the Out of Order podcast.
What?
It's the Out of Order podcast.
Why?
Why'd we make a podcast?
Yeah.
Because we can. So I totally almost forgot the lines on there.
Yeah,
but
you
we
did.
totally covered. I was like, what?
What?
It's the.
Well, how'd you guys like that new intro?
It was the good intro.
Written by the David Atwell.
The David Atwell, the one who will
It took
soon
me
be famous.
so long to write that. So long.
About as long as the China Wall.
About as long as the Great Wall of Pisa. The leaning wall
The
of...
what?
The leaning Great Wall of Pisa.
Pisa leans a wall, has a little wall that leans.
Yeah, dude, scary.
That's crazy.
Scary. Yeah.
Is that in Rome?
No, it's in Pisa.
Sounds like a Pisa.
Where
cake.
is the leading tower of Pisa? Is that in
I have no idea.
Italy?
Where it's at.
It's in Italy.
It's probably in
Pisa sounds like an
Probably.
Italian name.
across the sea somewhere.
Somewhere
Beyond the sea.
beyond the sea.
That's all I know.
Finding Nemo.
So, David, what are we gonna talk about this?
Today we are going to talk about Finding Nemo, in a sense.
Yes, but
But not Finding Nemo necessarily.
yes,
We're going to be talking about Disney.
Disney.
And specifically Zootopia. What that was a
That was
freaking
my goat.
great movie.
Yeah,
I loved Zootopia.
I did too. It was absolutely incredible. I would have to say.
Ooh. We're not doing spoilers, right?
I don't know. It's a kids' movie. Are there any spoilers?
Well, yeah, because there's a lot that in the movie that you're like, you know,
Yeah.
kept you on your feet. So yeah, I don't think we should do spoilers,
Probably
obviously.
catch your hopes.
Yeah,
Pause.
so spoiler alert in case we by mistake say something, but to be honest, we'll try not to do spoilers
Yeah.
because we want you to listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't seen it,
But if you haven't seen
keep
it by
listening.
now, that's your fault.
no, it's not. That's my line for Star Wars. If you haven't seen Star Wars: Force Awakens, you should just die.
Yeah, for real. You should
shouldn't
not
die.
awake
You shouldn't.
from this.
Nobody should die. Well, that's debatable, man. We could debate that. Should people die?
Yeah.
People should die.
Yeah, I agree.
Like specifically, or just people in general?
Both.
Specifically, people should die.
Specifically, people should die,
Who?
and people should die in general.
Who specifically should die?
People that don't deserve to live.
Who says who deserves and who doesn't deserve to live?
Donald Trump should have a say.
And what if Donald Trump says you shouldn't live? Would you still agree with your statement?
Yeah.
The all-powerful Donald
The
Trump
all-powerful-
knows more than I do.
Yeah, exactly. His hair trumps mine. Actually, I didn't even intend
His
on.
Trump hair is mine.
His Trump hair's yours?
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is
It's nuts. It's huge.
huge.
Huge. So Zootopia.
Zootopia. Amazing.
I just watched it like 2 hours ago. So it was great. I watched it at the Alamo, which is probably now my new my new favorite theater, dude. That theater is awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I was just in the lobby, just waiting for my brother and his wife because they were the ones who bought the tickets, and I just struck up a conversation really with the guy, and like everyone who worked there was just super awesome.
Was it busy there?
It was not busy at all.
That's a bummer.
Why?
Well, because like if it's like that, you've got that place has got to be expensive. So if they don't have a lot of business, it's one of those things where it's like they poured in too much money and then it's gonna close down.
That's true. Yeah, I mean,
especially on a Friday.
It was a Friday.
Oh, that's not a good thing.
Well, it was. What time was it? It was at 4.
I mean, it's possible that it just.
Yeah. It was a lot busier when I got out of the theater.
Okay. Yeah.
There was actually quite a. I mean, it was still not that long of a line. Like I would still say most movie theaters probably have more people.
Yeah. Well, for
the prices of the tickets are cheaper.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. So. Yeah, but for those who don't know, the Alamo is a Star Wars themed theater.
It is.
And it's amazing.
It is
pretty
great.
Much the definition of why you should go to a theater would be because it's Star Wars themed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not sponsored by the Alamo.
Or by Star Wars. Or by themes.
But we might be sponsored by J.J. Abrams one day.
One day.
Because this guy Gino, he's in cohorts.
I'm in cahoots.
Cahoots.
I'm in cahoots with
J.J.
J.J.
Cahoots or cohorts?
Cahoots.
What's cohorts?
I've never heard the word cohorts.
Maybe I made that up.
I think you did.
Okay. He's in cahoots with the J.J. Abrams.
Yep. Pretty much.
Producer and director of all-time famous best movie, Cloverfield.
Which I don't even remember if I liked it
I've never watched it.
I want to watch it again just because of the new
I hate being on this podcast talking about movies and like not actually have seen. I need to see more movies, man.
Yes, you do.
I need to see. There's so many movies we were talking about. Like, what was the last one? I've never seen Whiplash. I really got to see that movie. I've never seen. Dude, we just saw Age of Ultron. Like, literally.
Wait, for your first time?
No, remember I saw it with you?
Oh,
that was my first time. That was literally like 4 months after, like 5 months after it came out.
For real.
And like, dude, like, I need to keep up.
Yes,
man.
you do.
I'm surprised I saw Zootopia.
For me,
already.
I was too. I was like, I'm the opposite. I'm like, Thursday night. That's movie premiere night, and so I go to see them. Like, if there's
every Thursday night you do that.
If there's a movie that looks worth seeing, so like Zootopia, it's worth seeing.
I could start doing that.
The Revenant, it's worth seeing. So like,
I could start going to movies.
Really?
Thursday nights.
Can you afford that? That was the thing. That was the thing that we.
I could like cut back on my my Chipotle spending.
There you go.
Because one Chipotle is one movie. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. Because that's what I do. Anytime if a movie looks like, typically what I'll do is I'll look at it. If it looks good, and then if I'm 50-50 on it, I wait for Rotten Tomatoes and I see what they give. If they give it like a 70%
Rotten
or
Tomatoes
higher,
fanboy we got here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if it's 70% or higher, then I will go to see the movie on the Thursday night. If it's anything less and I wasn't completely sold or interested, then I just wait for it to be on DVD.
So tell me some movies that you disagreed with Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh. On a good way, I saw Into the Heart of the Sea, the new Moby Dick movie.
Yeah, it
got terrible reviews. Yeah. I watched it, loved it. I thought it was a really good movie.
My parents loved it too.
Yeah, I was very impressed.
And Jackson did too.
It was exactly what a Moby Dick movie should be. So I was kind of.
I heard it was slow moving.
Yeah, it was long.
It's funny they say that's slow moving, but would they say The Revenant is slow moving?
Yeah, slow moving is
super, but like in a good way, it was slow moving.
Yeah.
So it's like what do you mean by it? You got to go more in depth than just calling something slow moving.
It's more like there's a lot of switching back and forth, which is like from the guy who was on the adventure, and then the guy like it was like this guy wants to write a book, and he's trying to talk to the guy who was on the boat that experienced this giant whale. And so he goes to meet up with him, and he starts to tell the story, kind of like Titanic style of like, oh, back in this, it was like this. And then they explain the story, and then the movie is switching back between the two stories of like the person narrating the story and then the actual flashbacks of the movie itself. So it was like that. So there were a lot of moments where it would flash back to the real time of the guy who had experienced it narrating the story, and then he'd break apart from the story and he'd start to talk about something else personal. And it's like, and it was fine, but it was just like sometimes it's like, just let me get back to the movie.
Did it seem like the slow moving didn't seem meaningless?
No, it didn't seem meaningless.
Okay.
Like at the end of
'Cause
it,
I
I
feel
don't disvalue it.
Okay. All right.
Like, cause like you've watched Breaking Bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many slow moving parts, but like when I look at that series, there's no episode that I would want to get rid of because it all added to the depth of the characters, and I felt like
that's when I think slow moving is okay.
Yeah,
and that's when I hear critics say it's slow moving. Usually I tail that to, it's slow moving and it didn't need to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I felt The Revenant, every scene was meaningful to the plot, even though the plot was like super simple. But it was so meaningful, and I wanted to see it. So that's why I was okay with the slow moving. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a movie that was slow moving and I didn't like it. I would say Around the World in 80 Days.
I didn't see it.
The new one?
Yeah.
It was dumb.
With Jackie Chan, right?
Yeah. I liked it when I was a kid, but then I saw it again. I didn't like it. What else was slow movie?
I saw Bad Back. You know Bad Backs, right?
Yeah.
The slow parts were like super welcome for me. When it was like action.
What was slow?
Like,
wait, what were
when
the
they
slow
were in the
parts?
desert and they were looking up at the stars.
I loved that.
It's great, right?
Yeah,
Because it was just like.
Oh yeah, I guess it would be considered slow movie.
But it wasn't like. It was funny because it was just like finally a breather, but not like it wasn't like I was getting sick and tired of the action, but it was like it was such a like okay, I'll take this.
Yeah.
And so I was okay with it.
Yeah, you know the one I hate. Everyone's like, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, like the endings. You know, there's like 5 endings.
Yeah.
You hate that too, probably.
Okay, like
I
each
love
one,
it, dude.
Each ending added value.
It
and
did.
Brought closure to the story.
It did.
But on a critic's standpoint of like, okay, the movie's ending. Okay, and then another scene. Okay, the movie's actually ending. Okay, and then okay, now the movie's like it was just so.
The one thing I hated is the transition from Aragorn being king. The screen went completely black. And then it comes up with the scene in Hobbiton.
Oh,
so it's like, you know, usually when a screen becomes completely black, it's like, okay, it's the
That's
end.
the end.
And it could have been ended. And then they put the Hobbiton, and then you're like, okay, I'm glad they showed me this. And then they did it again with the sea, taking it away to the sea. I loved it because I love Lord of the Rings, and I could just eat anything. Like they could have added twice the amount of seeds, I'd be fine.
I feel like
but
if
I still
those
felt
movies would have been made nowadays, they would have made Return of the King in 2 parts.
Yes.
Do you think that would have been better? Well,
No,
you haven't
no.
seen the extended editions, which might as well.
I've seen the extended edition of one of them, the
one?
Fellowship.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But we need to watch the extended editions. Or maybe you don't have to watch it with me if you don't want to. But I really want to see the extended versions. Literally every year for Christmas, I've asked my parents for... Well, I mean, now I'm old and, like, too old. I'm not too old for gifts, but, like... I feel like if they got me that, that'd be one of the few things I would get.
Of the extended editions?
Yeah, like, that'd be like... I'm like, I don't know if I want to commit to that being the only thing I want for Christmas.
Yeah.
But, like, when I was a kid, all throughout growing up, I was like, guys, I want the extended edition of Lord of the Rings. They're like, you already have Lord of the Rings. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same thing.
There was one time on Black Friday, Target accidentally misposted, and they said that what they meant to say was Lord of the Rings individual movies on Blu-ray for $4.99 a piece. But they accidentally posted Lord of the Rings triple extended set Blu-ray for $4.99. So because they posted that, they had to honor it. But I went there to go buy it. This is like 3 or 4 years ago, and so that even back then, like Blu-ray was
new,
expensive, and so that was like $150 set, and it was.
So you bought it?
No, it was sold out.
Oh, sold out. I bet yeah.
For $4.99. I mean,
yeah, that's expensive. Yeah.
So
not $4.99, but like the original.
Yeah, the original one. It was $150 for the extended editions of all 3, and so
Dude.
then they lost a lot of money on.
I was surprised when I first realized how expensive a full season of a TV show is if you just bought it at the store.
Nuts.
Like each season of Game of Thrones is like $60.
It's outrageous.
I was like, dang, I could go on Netflix and watch like a season of Doctor Who, and like it would be it'd be free, or I guess not, but like, and then I could buy it for like $50. Who would do that? But people buy it. For me, like I see a TV show and I don't really want to watch it again unless it's like a comedy.
Yeah. I wonder if I have any.
I don't know. Have you ever rewatched a TV show before?
Breaking Bad.
You rewatched
House
Breaking
of
Bad?
Cards, and Game of Thrones.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like, and most of the time, it's because I'm showing someone else the show, and so, like.
I guess I could do that if I was showing somebody else.
House of Cards is the only show that I've rewatched by myself because I wanted to. So.
I just see new...
And Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil.
So I guess Daredevil, Breaking Bad, House of Cards, and Game of Thrones are all shows.
Those are all great shows.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, there's a new TV show out. I would rather watch the new one than rewatch something from old.
Yeah.
There's so many good TV shows out there nowadays. Like, I just feel like I would never be at the time where I'd be like, all right, I've seen everything now. I'll go back and rewatch.
For me, what happens is usually when, like House of Cards, I had watched it, like seasons 1 and 2, and then it was about a year later, and season 3 came out, and I couldn't remember everything. So knowing that the next season was coming up, I started over. Mm-hmm. And
House of Cards doesn't do the previously on House of Cards.
Yeah, which is nice because I feel like a lot of the times those previously they're like, oh, here's the subtle cues that have it was. Here's the foreshadowing.
Here's what we're gonna build
be.
on from. Yeah. Walking Dead does that, and you're like, okay, well
thanks for letting me know what's gonna happen in this episode. Yeah. So,
I mean, not specifically, but like somewhat.
Yeah.
You know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think. But as far as buying them, like typically a show is going to show up on Netflix at some point, unless it's HBO. So it would take a lot for me to buy a show. Like there was one day where I felt impulsive to go buy Breaking Bad, and I was just like, it's on Netflix, and I'm paying for Netflix. Like there's no point in me owning it. As much as I love this show, it would make no sense for me to spend my money and buy this. So
first of all, you should never impulse buy anything.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
That is true.
Let me find something that I've impulsively bought. My Xbox One.
But it would still be better if you thought about it, slept on it, and then bought
No,
it.
because then I wouldn't have been able to get it the day I got it. Did I tell you the story of how I got this Xbox One?
No.
Okay, so the day it released, I go into GameStop. I'm working. It's a Friday. And I'm like, on my break, I'm going to go into GameStop. And so I'm like, hey...
this is when you're working at
Panda. Yeah. And so I was just like, so realistically, how long am I going to have to wait until I can get my hands on one of these? And she was like, well, someone just called me and said that they didn't want the reserved one. So you could have that one. It was payday.
Wait, was this when they just came out?
It was day one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I go in on day one and I'm like, how long am I going to have to wait for this? And she's like...
That's a day one Xbox.
That's a day one Xbox right there. Well, this one isn't because they replaced it for a new one. It got damaged, but...
Oh, okay.
But she was like, if you want it, you can have it. And I was like, it was payday. I had enough money. And I was like, okay. And so I bought that, a new controller, and Need for Speed rifles on day one.
Cool.
It's great.
Yeah.
So.
I would never buy a console day one.
Why?
Because there's so many every time they do a first generation of a new console, there's always problems with it.
Yeah.
And they always recall it or something, like the Ring of Death. Or
they
whatever.
had a warranty on it that lasted a year, and they'd fix anything for up
Was
to
there a
year.
lot of bugs?
Mm-mm. But at the end, I was like at 11 months, and something started to go wrong where it was like it wouldn't read my Blu-rays, and then it wouldn't read my games. And so it's still slowly getting worse. And so I called them, and then they guided me on how to restart the Xbox in a different way, and I did it, and it worked. Now it's just like, okay, well, what happens if in like 3 weeks from now when my warranty's up, and if that doesn't work anymore? Like, what if that reset only fixed it temporarily? And they're like, well, we wouldn't be able to fix it. And I was like, so then can I just send you my Xbox now and you send me a new one just because it's defective? And they're like, well, you could do that. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to do that. So that's why I have a new one. Because it's like, I'm not going to risk, like, restarting my Xbox being the source of my laser not working. Like, that just makes no sense. Like, it didn't seem like a permanent solution. So I was
it
like,
seems like something wrong
Xbox.
with the system itself.
Yeah, so I said, replace this one, please. It took them, like, 2 months to get me my Xbox back, but I was fine.
2 months without an Xbox, man. What'd you do?
It was tough. I actually don't even remember what I did. I think I just used my iMac.
You know, I love PS4 better than Xbox One.
Why?
I officially say that now.
Why? What's better about it?
It's so much easier to interact with friends and everything. To join their game, to add people as friends. I don't like the whole follow thing. Like, what is it? Like, you can add someone, but they can't add you back. And then you could... I didn't like that. The whole... The change they did for the friends list, I just didn't like.
On PlayStation or on...
On an Xbox One.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never been into connecting with people online though. I usually just, if I'm online, I just
Well, if
play
I'm
with
just a
random people.
solo gamer, then I guess I wouldn't mind it. The interface itself is better on Xbox One. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I hate the PS4 intro, the music.
What is it?
It's just this ambient music that I just really don't. I don't like ambience.
Like that?
No. Well, sound like Finding Dory.
Speaking of Finding Dory.
I said that on purpose.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Smooth.
But we should talk about Zootopia a bit more. We just said that we liked it.
It was great.
Yeah.
Now
so
what?
I liked how it specifically talked about social issues in a way that no other Disney movie's ever tried.
I feel like no movie has talked about social issues as well as this movie has.
Yeah.
I can't say about today's social views in general.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a movie that has played it in such a way that actually makes me think about the way I treat people.
Yeah. I agree. No, I agree. The movie inspired me to creativity, and it's told me that you can be whoever you want to be. But it's like, you think you've heard that before, but the movie did it in a new way.
Yeah.
That I was like, I can be whatever I want to be.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was so interesting to hear. I asked Jackson, my little brother, and then my older brother and Emma what they got out of it, and they all got something different out of it. Jackson, he kind of got the surface level, what it was telling you that, hey, you can be whoever you want to be. And, I got that, too. And Emma, was like, well, it was deeper than that. It was more, she liked the, what was it? Kind of like you aren't defined by your family. You can break off from your family and still have that kind of bond with your past. Kind of like how the bunny, I think that's what, and then I forgot what my brother said, but we all got something different out of it. Personally, I liked its message on diversity. I think diversity is sometimes a really hot topic between, should we push diversity or should diversity cultivate? And I think it gave a really middle ground approach to it that said, hey, you know what? Diversity is a good thing because everyone brings something to their table, but also you are not defined by your species. Foxes aren't defined by them being fox. Each person is an individual.
Yeah.
But diversity still brings unique perspective. And I think that's a good middle ground.
Yeah.
I think it says we shouldn't push diversity, but also we shouldn't segregate.
Yeah. I think the only potential spoiler alert, I hope not, but there's a point where the fox gets upset with the bunny. And it's because of something that the bunny says about, it's in their genes of being a predator, so that it could be possible that because they're predators, they're like this. Part of me, she ends up apologizing to him about being a terrible friend, and part of me wishes that he would have apologized for not trying to understand where she came from, because at the end of the day, people get too offended for I know we've kind of talked about this, but Muslims attacked our country on 9/11, and they killed thousands of people. So when we see people from that country, it's that first thought of oh man, could they be a terrorist? It's probably gonna be there just because people have been hurt by it. But then it's up to us on what we're gonna am I gonna let that thought change the way that I think and feel about this individual, or am I gonna let that prejudice am I going to let that dominate the way that I treat this guy? And so if all Muslims weren't willing to understand where that pain has come from, that's also an error on their end. As much as it's wrong of us to judge them because of the color of their skin, I feel like it's also their responsibility to realize the pain that we have came from. And so I wish they kind of would have touched upon that when the fox got so upset with her for saying something that she might not have even said intentionally to hurt someone, but it was just because she had that thought, he was 100% in the right, and I don't quite agree with that.
I agree. I think she was wrong when she said she was a bad friend. She wasn't a bad friend, but I don't think the fox was in the wrong. I don't think you can be in the wrong for initially being offended.
Okay.
But I think because when she apologized, he turned around right away, and you're like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
Whereas you see a lot of people, they can't let it go. They hold on to it, and I don't like that. And I think the fox was. I think you can't control being offended right away. I don't think you can. Like if somebody really told me something about my brother, I really love my brother. If somebody told me negative about my brother, I'm gonna be offended. Like it's not something I can control. Like I just am offended. But from there, I can control how I act after that initial offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fox was initially offended because she was saying a blanketed statement about all predators. It came from, a good heart. It came from a facts, yeah. But he saw it in a different way because he is a predator.
And she was just asking him to be his friend.
And so then later, he was still struggling with that, and he initially had like a wall up, and then she apologized, and then he's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. I could agree with that.
I think
I don't know how you could touch it up on it in the movie, but I feel like there's also a really big problem in today's society about how if you get offended, you're the one in the right, and I can't stand that. And I think we probably talked about this a little last week, and we don't have to beat the drum on it much. But like if you live your life based on trying to get mad at people because they offend you, like you're screwed. Like it's the way life is. But I mean, overall, the cultural message that this portrayed and being able to accept people for who they are was beautiful.
I loved it.
It's gorgeous. So,
and it was so cool how at the beginning they almost forced me to be bigoted towards foxes.
Yeah.
And they're like, give the fox repellent, and I didn't think anything of it. And then later, that fox repellent became a tool of racism that I didn't realize before. And I say racism, speciesism, I guess, in the movie. That I was like, oh my gosh, like I was speciesist for a second, and that was mean. Like, and I was like, that happens in society, Yeah, definitely.
So, do you think that there could be a movie that could portray the same ideas if it were with humans acting in it?
There have been movies like that. I watched a really interesting movie, and it was more exaggerated, and I probably wouldn't agree with it now. Last year I had a much different view on this subject. I thought diversity should be pushed, and that everything should be diverse. And now I don't think that diversity should be cultivated. But anyways, and so we watched a movie where the roles were reversed, where white people were the minority, and black people were the superior. And so black people were the rich, and white people were the poor. And it was about this white guy who was being labeled as, and it had John Travolta as the white guy, and it was a role reversal, and it makes you think in a different way.
Okay.
And it almost makes you believe that, black people are still, this is still wrong in our society, because you see it with a white person, and it gives you a different reaction.
You have a different feeling,
And I still agree with that to an extent, but so that was with humans, and I felt like it did it in a good way, but it was really exaggerated, and it was from the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's not as modern day. I feel like it's not as extreme.
I feel like
nowadays.
The reason that I accepted this story was almost because of the metaphor of it being with animals. And they did such a good job at actually creating a believable culture of what animals would be and finding their niche of what an animal is good at and bad at, that I related to what it meant in human form. But I feel like if you were to make a movie, I mean, I could be wrong. It could just be done if it was done right. Like if you were to point out like what black people are good at, or what guys are good at, or what girls are good at, or what like people from India are good at. Like I feel like I wouldn't accept I wouldn't grasp the inspiration to follow. What's the word? Everyone together. Diversity. I feel like I wouldn't have grabbed it. Because it would have felt like almost like someone was preaching at me, where I'm like, yeah, I get it. Okay, yeah, whatever.
I totally agree. And I think this can be related in so many things. If you want to make a Christian movie, you need to relate it to something else.
Yeah,
that's why the Chronicles of Narnia was so impactful for me.
Exactly, because it's not saying what they want to say directly, but it mirrors it in a great metaphor that makes me actually think of what it's like in real life. That's the way you get people to think about it.
Dude, you can relate that to so many things. Like, I like that in Christian music. I like music that's not Christian, but it's about God in a sense. So you can get that out of it, but it's not direct. Because so it gets people thinking about God rather than like you just say you're a Christian band. Yeah. Nobody's gonna listen to you. Same with Christian movies, and Christian books. We can stray away from Christianity. What was the thing I was thinking of? That movie I was mentioning before, because it was whites versus blacks. It wasn't as directly, but if it was straight up, the black people were the people who were like, you'd be like, all right, I've seen this before. Yeah. Even though like my message, I got the message out maybe too early. Maybe it wasn't subtle enough about the message. But have you ever heard of the book Animal Farm?
No.
So it was a book written by George Orwell. Do you know who George Orwell is? He's like a famous writer.
No.
He wrote the book 1984.
Okay, gotcha.
You know that book? Yeah. So he also wrote a book called Animal Farm, and he wrote in, I think it was the 60s when like communism was like a rising big thing, and so he basically wrote a story about communism, but he made it with farm animals. And it was basically about this cat who had a military of dogs, and they ended up taking over the farm and became a communist kind of system within the farm, and did some terrible things. And it was really it started off as like seemingly like a kids oriented thing, and then it got more and more intense, and then towards the end like they kill like the innocent character, quote unquote innocent character. And it's like, oh my gosh, they killed him, you know? It's really intense. And then, like, slowly, like, the end of the book describes the animals looking more like humans. And it's really good. And it was, like we were talking about, this subtle comment on not racism, on communism. But communism isn't, they don't say the word communism at all in the whole book. But you can get, like, this is a commentary on communism. And because it related to something innocent, like, as farm animals, and then made it intense, it was like you felt it, you know, like when the innocent horse died. Like, I know you can't really feel what I'm feeling when I think about it, but it was like this really like person who was always positive. I think the name was Daisy, and like it was just an amazing horse. I forget, but then ended up killing it, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know. So and I loved that, you know. I think you do it right when you do it that way. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite parts about Inception, the movie, was how their goal was to get this guy to break up his father's empire. And they were like, maybe we can get him to do it by noticing how much he hates, or how much he hates his dad, or how much he wants to stick it to him. They're like, no, it wouldn't work like that. And they were like, it's all from the basis of the relationship with his father. And at the end of the movie, it talked about how the dad, he said, I didn't want you to be me. And like that thought of, I don't want you to be me.
Yeah. Translated
all the way into the pain of his relationship with his father, which changed to like, he realized he was trying to live his life trying to be like his dad. Yeah. Which is why he would continue to carry on his dad's empire. Because he doesn't need to do that anymore, he can now dissolve his dad's empire. So it's just like, it was really cool. Like for me, that's what sparked the idea of like, if you ever want to get someone to think about something, you got to get to the root of the idea, not just saying what you need to say. If you were to say, hey, break up your dad's empire, he'd be like, what are you, crazy? This is what my dad's worked for, and this is the only thing that I've inherited. Like, no. But if you get down to my dad didn't want me to be him, boom. Like, I love that. I think that's so cool. So that's kind of changed my thought process on ideas. And speaking of ideas,
so
I need to come up with a new transition.
Well, so we'll just wrap it up. So, Zootopia, what would you rate out of 10? So wait, we gotta give more perspective. What did you rate? Deadpool was
83.
Was it 83? I think for me it was like 76 or something like that. And then Star Wars Force Awakens for me was like 92, and then you had like a 94 or something. So what would you rate Zootopia? I said dang it.
Oh, you did.
I did say I've tried not to.
I would have to say my rating for Zootopia would have to be 87.
87.
It's better than Deadpool.
Wow.
And it's obviously it's a completely different genre.
It's hard to
And
compare the two.
I would say for creativity, for depth, emotional character, emotional depth, it's better movie than Deadpool. Deadpool is great because it's like, okay, I've never seen a crazy, violent movie like this. Right. But like,
it's a unique idea, so it's already going to be unique. But this is not necessarily
it's a unique idea. Ooh, it kind of is its own unique idea in a small sense, but it portrays things you've already known in a completely different way that made me think by the time I was leaving the theater. And very few movies make me think.
Yeah.
By the time I'm leaving the theater. Usually I feel like I got the idea before I walked into the theater. Yeah. And the fact that it gave me a new perspective, that's a big deal.
Yeah, same. So what was I was more saying with Deadpool? Deadpool, you've never seen something like it, so when you go into the movie, you're already on the movie side per se.
Yeah, yeah.
But going into Zootopia, all I knew at least was it's an animated movie about Animal World.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I'm not on the movie side yet. So the movie brought me on its side, and it's still it's more unique. Even though like the idea itself is not as unique, it made it more unique.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I think 9 point.
It used its. Go ahead.
93.
93.
Whew. Dude, I came out of that movie and I felt so inspired. Like, and it kind of changed my perspective a bit. I'm not gonna lie. It made me more lenient.
I think the other thing that
on a lot of things
did well was it played on its own tropes. Like if it had a cliche, it played on its own cliche, and it acknowledged it, not in the sense of breaking the fourth wall, but it was like, it just, you could tell the people that made the movie knew that you knew what was coming, and so then they switched it up just a little bit.
I love that.
That was great. I was just like,
one of the reasons I didn't like Frozen is because I knew who the bad guy was gonna be, and it was
it was a cool twist, but I knew it was gonna be that twist. It was just like, oh.
But and so Frozen is okay, but this is amazing because I had no idea that the. I was about to say the bad. Just you don't know, but now that we said we don't know, maybe they will know.
Maybe they will know. But even then, if you would have told me, and
I challenge you to when you're watching Zootopia at the beginning,
try and guess.
Like when you feel like you've met all the characters, which you do by like 10 minutes in, I feel like all the main characters. When you meet all of them, guess which one's gonna be the bad guy, and if you get it right,
tweet us
at
OOO podcast, or email us at outoforderpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. All right.
So what would you say for you, speaking of animated movies, would you say is your top 5 Disney animated movies?
So I say we start at 5. And we go 1 by 1.
Okay, got you. So my number 5, Toy Story.
Or should we each go 5 through 1, and then the next person goes 5 through 1?
We'll go 5, then you go 5.
Okay. So Toy Story. Okay.
Yes. I would say it's great. I love it for what it was. It was the first full movie, 3D animated, full length feature film. That's what I was looking for. The story behind it was great. You can tell that the people that made behind it were like, oh, what would it be like if the toys were alive? I mean, it's so good, so creative. The voice acting of it, of Tom Hanks and the other guy, Tim Allen. I mean, they just did great. It's great, and it's led up to great sequels. I don't know if I like any of them more or less than the other. Like they're all 3 of them are solid. Yeah. And so
I always when I think about this a lot, I'm like, oh well, I didn't like Toy Story 2, and then I think of the Jessie scene of like when she her owner who like when somebody loves you.
Oh gosh.
And it's like it tears your heart. You're like, oh my gosh, I love toys. And then I'm like, okay, that was a good movie.
It was a really good movie. It was solid. Yeah. And then 3 was great. I'm really excited. You heard that they're making a 4th one?
I'm a little hesitant about that, but I'm sure it's Toy Story, so if it's not good, I'll be so mad.
What if they have to save Andy, and they show them that they're alive? Show him that they're alive.
Whoa.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, but then it's like now we got to give questions about
why,
how are they alive? Like, we need to get into science behind it now. Before, it was just like a mystery how they were alive. But if they were showing to Andy, now we have to explain it, especially because Andy's probably a college student. Imagine a college student seeing his toys are alive. It's exactly. Chill. But,
but they showed Sid that they were alive. So it's not like there's a science
behind. Sid wasn't the type of guy to question that.
So
okay, listen.
No, so like picture Andy gets kidnapped. If his toys question it, or if his toys come to save him, obviously he's gonna question it, but he's gonna go with his toys and help himself get saved.
I don't know. What would you
I don't know, man. In college, so that would be like our age right
That's
now.
my age. Yeah, I'm a college
And your toys.
student.
So
I'm 20.
what was your toy that you had when you grew up? I had a stuffed animal.
I had a lot of Hot Wheels.
So your Hot Wheels come to rescue you? Mine would be a stuffed animal.
I had a lot of stuffed animals. Yeah, I guess it would be my stuffed animals. I used to have like 30 on my bed.
Wow.
Not 30. I would probably like 10.
I wasn't as fortunate as you.
I know. I had more stuffed animals than you.
But yeah, I think that'd be kind of fun. What's your 5?
My number 5 is The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, that's a good one.
I love that movie.
One.
Every time I think about it, Kronk.
When he's trying to carry him and drop him in the river.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Pull the lever.
More broccoli. Cusco. Emperor Cusco's poison. Poison specifically chosen to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison. That poison? Just that poison! Love it. He's great. Have you heard his voice in real life?
Yes,
Same
it's
thing,
the
and
same.
it's creepy.
It's
creepy.
great.
I'm like, no, you're Kronk. Like, I can't see that guy as anything other than Kronk. Just like I can't hear James Earl Jones and not hear Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like you're.
Yeah, when he was in the Sandlot, I was like, why the heck is Darth Vader
Why is
in the
Darth Vader?
Sandlot? Yeah, but Emperor's New Groove, it's just funny. And
Yeah.
it's probably not that. I haven't seen it recently. And so I was considering not putting it on my top 5 because I haven't seen it recently. But I just remember it being so funny. And so it's memorable, not in the sense that I remember especially like the character. Oh, I mean the characters. I don't remember the story really that well. But I just remember it being really funny.
Yeah.
And it had an impact on me. So, and you know, Toy Story was actually my number 6. I
was
literally
your
got
number
rid
6?
of it.
Oh man.
Yeah, just because I felt like Emperor's New Groove. It's tough, man. I don't know. Emperor, yeah.
Is that so? Emperor's New Groove.
I just love Kronk. I just love Kronk. Man.
Kronk. Yeah.
And even Cusco. Like Cusco. I used to watch the TV show, Emperor's New Groove TV show, and it was so funny. As a kid, I guess.
I never watched the show.
It was so funny. And then they only did like one season. I don't even know if it was called a season back then, and they got rid of it. So, but I thought it was funny.
It was a great one.
Cusco's funny. That. Yeah.
Okay, my number 4 is Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
There's a million reasons why.
That was like my number 7.
Really?
You're like thinking, yeah.
Oh man, this is
my...
actually my only cartoon that I put on the list.
What do you mean cartoon? Oh, I guess not animated.
Yeah, so like the depth behind the story, for like I mean it was just like it's got murder, like pre-contemplated murder in this, and then like it's terrible. Like I mean, but that's what made it so memorable. Was just like Scar killed Mufasa. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Chill.
Scar killed Mufasa.
If you haven't, just kidding. I'm not gonna.
And then
I was in Lion King by now. Should we go jump
the
off
music, Hans Zimmer. Gosh.
Was that Hans
legend?
Zimmer?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
So like I think I mean not many people are even gonna realize it, but like I think part of the reason that you get goosebumps when Simba walks up on top of Pride Rock at the end of it is because of the tying of the music. Because like the beginning melody
it's a circle of life. It's a circle of story.
It does.
Yeah.
But when Mufasa's telling Simba like all of everything that he's gonna be ruler of, the music's like I mean it's a light melody, but like at the end of it it's the full orchestra and it's just like da 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 da. It's the same melody.
It's a cadence.
It's like the thing. Like the story is like I'm finally stepping into my father's shoes, and the things that I've always known to be true are actually coming. It's like the idea of like closure, but it plays in story and in music, and I feel like I mean the two just went perfectly in harmony, and I feel like it's
that was back when Disney still did like music in their movies.
Yeah, now it's just I mean
they don't do that.
Music
anymore.
is just music now.
Yeah. You don't have like music breaks in movies anymore. It's just the culture of now.
That's great.
See, my criteria for this top 5 was a Disney movie that created a universe that was so interesting and like amazing.
Okay.
And I would totally agree. Like the Lion King universe was awesome.
Yeah.
And the Emperor's New Groove universe was awesome.
Yeah.
And this next one is a universe that was awesome. My number 4 is Monsters University. Most people won't agree with that.
Why University over Inc?
It's probably because I'm in university right now.
Oh.
And a lot of the jokes in the movie, I thought the movie was hilarious. A lot of the jokes in the movie are relevant.
Scene is the library scene.
Yes.
Yes. So dumb.
Because a lot of the jokes were really relative to me living right now, and I watched it freshman year, and so I was like, the little things like that movie was beautiful.
Yeah.
They created it beautiful. The different, just the scare games was so interesting.
I did like the twist of how it was like when he did the roar and he won. He was
you believed
scary.
It, and then
I was just like, what? Like, as much as I wanted him to be scary,
like, he's not scary.
I was like, he's not scary. And so then it was because his Sid, right? No, Sullivan cheated for him.
Yeah.
Now I was just like, okay.
Yeah. I think it told. So what I like about it too, like you pointed out, it told the message was you can't.
Not everyone's scary.
You can't be. And actually, that's kind of counterintuitive to what Zootopia is saying. You can't be whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, you seriously can't. And that's interesting. We could talk. Well, you actually can't. You can't. I can't be a basketball player. I can't be an NBA player.
Yeah.
I'm 5'5" and I'm white. And not that being white can't be, but like it just adds to it. And I'm terrible at dribbling. And it's like, he's not scary and he can't be scary. But he can help out, and because he's super basically you have a place, and there is somewhere in this world that something that you can do that you will enjoy and be passionate about. I don't think anybody in this world has something that they can't be passionate about. Yeah. And they weren't made for, which is what the movie said. Yeah. And I like that.
That's cool.
It's a different message than usual. And like I said before, the universe Monsters Inc. started with, I feel like Monsters University added onto it in a really cool way.
Yeah, that's a good point. My 3 is Zootopia. Okay. We've already talked about it.
I didn't add that to my top 5. I didn't think about adding it to the top 5. Yeah. I don't think I would have anyway. Maybe I would have put it. I probably would have put it 5th, but oh well. Anyways, Zootopia. Okay.
What's your 3?
Yeah, you don't really describe. My 3 is Finding Nemo.
Okay, that's my 2.
I think. Oh, come on, man! You can't give it away.
Oh, oops. Spoiler alert.
Okay, well, we can both talk about it then, since that was your number 2. The once I said again, the universe it created was awesome.
Beautiful.
It was way better than the universe they created in what is it called? The Little Mermaid. I didn't like The Little Mermaid. I know a lot of people did, but the underwater universe is so much cooler in Finding Nemo than.
I can't remember if I told you this, and I can't believe but I did not realize that Ellen was the voice of Dory.
You didn't know that?
I was like, I always knew I knew the voice, and then I was watching a clip of Ellen a couple months ago. Yeah. And she's just like, yeah, I was going to refilm for Finding Dory, and I was like, oh my gosh. I just felt like an idiot. I was like, how did I not know this? Yeah. Like, it all just came together. It was my closure moment walking up on Pride Rock.
I'm trying to think. I'm about to make a blanketed statement, and I'm trying to think if this is a true statement. I think it is my favorite intro scene out of any animated movie. And I'm trying to think
of Death of the Fish? Yeah. That was deep.
It just started. It started out with a bang.
It's like, what do you think of the Up opening scene? Up did just about the same thing, and that was really good.
Oh, jeez.
And they did it so well.
Up was really good. See, this I had a top 10 list, and I loved every list on the top. It was tough.
What about Brave? You can't forget Brave.
I only saw that once.
I did too, and I want to watch it again.
It was a ginger lead, and I like ginger.
I liked the twist of the spoiler alert, the mom being the bear. That was cool.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Like, the bear is this thing that's wreaking havoc, and then turns out the bear's her mom. Yeah. And it's just like, the thing she's wanted to kill is actually the thing that she's wanted to love.
Yeah. So, but anyways, Finding Nemo, that intro, like, I just remember, like, she's, like, holding the baby, and then she turns it over, and then it turns into the moon. And it's like,
I don't love that.
It's emotional. turns the finding
Nemo is
Nemo
the moon?
turns into the moon.
Wow.
He moons the audience.
That's why they said don't touch the butt. Oh.
Don't touch the moon.
All right, what's your 2?
Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, I wouldn't. Why?
I love Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph is good. I
Wreck-It
like
Ralph
the
is
speech at the
amazing.
end when he's like, "I'm bad, and that's okay. It's not bad to be bad," or whatever the speech was. That was deep. I liked that.
Yeah. I love the universe it created. I'm a gamer, and like that
Yeah.
was.
I feel like I would never want to watch a sequel to it though.
That
That's-
doesn't
that's
make it a
for
bad
me, though.
movie.
That's true, because I wouldn't want to see a sequel to Inception.
You wouldn't want to see a sequel to Zootopia. I thought you said that.
Depends.
Because
No, we were talking about, was it Zootopia?
Zootopia
it-
left room. Oh,
It depends on. Whew, scary. It depends on the what it was. Like, I mean, it was so well done. I don't know if they could do it again without being like Cars 2. Or it's just like, ugh. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
yeah.
Like, so like like Cars was a great universe, but the moment they came out with Cars 2, it's just like,
Yeah.
like I feel like
But that doesn't make
could be
Cars a
that.
bad movie. I loved Cars. It's not my top 5, but I loved it.
yeah.
But anyways, Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I loved Ralph, first of all. Ralph was super funny guy. I loved who's the builder
Fix It
guy?
Felix.
Fix It Felix. He was hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved the whole racing world, like the candy
Yeah,
world.
that was fun.
It was so
Making
cool.
the Candy
And
Crush game or whatever,
and-
the car.
yeah, and the music for each of the games was so cool.
Did you predict the bad guy?
No, not at the beginning.
I can't
As
remember if
I like started seeing King Candy,
Yeah.
I realized he was being more of a tyrant, and then I was like, oh, okay. Oh, but him being the race guy,
That's right. He was that racer.
I had
didn't-
no
I didn't
idea.
expect
I
that.
I did not expect that
I
at all.
did expect the way
Turbo.
that they used the Mentos in the volcano as the light. I did see that coming to kill the bugs.
Oh, yeah. That's
Um,
pretty cool though.
I
So.
feel like, and it's kind of annoying, the fact that like when I look at it, I'm thinking of these things now, like movies are, and it's probably the best movies that do it, but like they always have that thing at the beginning that ties in at the end, and it gives you that emotional like, oh my gosh moment. It's really annoying that they all follow that same formula, but the fact that it works,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, use your words against you in Zootopia. And then, like, don't touch the butt. Oh, that's not really the way that Finding Nemo did it. But, like, they've always got that, like, there's that saying or that thing that was at the beginning. And it's just like, they'll slap it with you at the end. And you're like, oh, and you get this emotional, overwhelming feeling. It's just like, dang it, they got me again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they all follow that thing. And I feel like when they create the movie, they're like, okay, what's our niche that we're going to put at the beginning that we're going to tie it at the end?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's annoying because they get me every time. I'm
Pride
like, oh.
Rock.
Huh?
Pride Rock.
Yeah.
Lion King.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, it's a good formula. And I feel like the best movies that I ever remember have that thing that ties everything together. But it's just, I don't know. I just kind of realized it again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about Wreck-It Ralph, it's kind of a
like, oh, Wreck-It Ralph was the, like, at the beginning, it was the, I'm bad, and that's okay.
And then he said
at the end,
and it was kind of a like a cliche, like guy who nobody likes becomes the guy that everyone likes.
Yeah.
In the end. Yeah, but I don't care.
Yeah,
I like
it
the
was
way
a
they did
really-
it. It was a really, I love the world.
what was your favorite scene?
Favorite scene. I liked the scene where I like the scene. Wait, dude, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. I have a terrible memory. I like the race at the end with King Candy and the girl. I like all the races in that movie because it's really cool. The world. I don't know if I have a favorite scene though, because I have a lot of
I
scenes I
liked-
really like. I like the bad guy scene when they're like Alcohol's Anonymous, but it's like bad guys.
Yeah.
I liked the action world where like they had to shoot all the bad guys.
Yeah,
that was really cool. And
what is it? You're one dynamite gal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fix It Felix is hilarious.
I think my favorite part would probably be the fact that like her glitch became the thing that helped her win, and it was the thing she hated about herself.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about the glitch thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. That was fun. Like, just a nice way to love the things that you hate about yourself.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite scene though, but
all right. Number 1, mine's Inside Out. By far, it's creative world, genius, beautiful story, emotional depth, got me to cry. First Pixar.
You cry?
I've cried almost every time I've watched that movie.
Where did you cry? At what point?
It was the moment when I almost cry every time Bing Bong dies.
Like, really?
Who's your friend who likes to play Bing Bong, Bing Bong?
I completely disagree.
But then when it was when you realized that sadness was what brought happiness.
That was good.
That was amazing, and I don't know. It just really
Disney's definitely been stepping
me.
It up with their messages. Pixar have been stepping up with the overall messages.
It was just so good, and for me, it could have been the time at my life. It was when my parents were just getting divorced, and that could have been it. But honestly, I just love the emotional depth of like. It's kind of like the glitch thing, where it's just like the thing that you hated about yourself might not be so bad after all.
Yeah.
And that just really resonated with me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was really good. I loved, dude, the whole thing inside your brain, like the 5. It was so cool,
when the
so
end
unique.
Scene was great when he runs into the girl and it's like, girl,
yeah,
girl,
and then it showed all the different
the cats,
it
the
was
dogs,
so cool. Yeah, it was so unique, and I was like, more.
Yeah.
I could see a sequel out of that, but I don't know.
Are
they making this? Wait, are they making
this?
No,
they haven't announced it, but just like Zootopia, where it's just like it's good enough, but don't make
I'm
it
not
like
sure
Cars
if
2.
I'm not sure if I want it to be ruined.
Don't taint the reputation of it.
Man, that was really good too, and that was in my top 10. But I wouldn't. The first time I saw it, I was like, dude, best Disney movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
But then I watched it again, and I actually got bored. I definitely got bored. It got a little boring when they were in the hall of, like
Justice.
When they got lost and they were trying to find their way back home.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a couple of moments that was a little dull and boring for me. So it didn't keep my attention.
Okay.
But overall, it was still really good.
What's your number 1?
So, my number 1 is The Incredibles.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Ooh, but it's just Fantastic Four.
It's so much better than Fantastic Four.
But it is Fantastic
Four.
No,
it's not.
Okay, Elastigirl is Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Incredible is the Thing. Dash is
He's not the fire guy.
Who's the fire guy? There's a fire
Human
guy.
Torch.
Who's the fire guy in
Oh, Jack.
Jack. Okay. And then the invisible girl is the girl.
Yeah, but who's Dash?
Dash.
Dash
is the Flash.
Yeah, but the Flash isn't in the Fantastic Four.
But he might as well be. It was really similar to Fantastic Four.
They have similar powers. That's
almost all exactly.
It doesn't matter.
One's strong, one can turn invisible and has force field, one can light himself on fire. Like
you don't think about that until some meme on the internet says, "Oh, they're similar," and then you're like, "Oh yeah, now the movie sucks." Like, no, that's.
I didn't think about it. I thought about it myself.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I was like, "Hey, look."
Stop. The Incredibles is my favorite Disney world out of any world. It's a world of superheroes.
Okay. Are you excited about
I have
sequel?
never been more excited of an animated sequel before than I am about this Incredibles 2 that should have came out 5 years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Jeez.
Do
you think it's going to be
about
loved it
so much
Underminer?
because I resonated with Dash, the character, so much because I was literally the exact same age as Dash when the movie came out. I think they said it was moving from the 4th grade to the 5th grade, and that was me. I was literally in 4th grade. I'm pretty sure when I first saw it, and I loved that. I loved the action scene, the scene where the mom is like infiltrating the base. And like she's like caught in like the doors, and she's like fighting. That was amazing. That was I love that. Just everything like the Edna mode, like where she's She's
course,
she's so
darling.
funny.
Of course I can. Completely bulletproof.
And then when he's at work and like he's mad at his boss, he like throws it through.
Okay,
And
so here's a
there's
moment.
so many good moments in that movie.
The moment that ties everything together. The only thing that can hurt it is itself. At the beginning of the movie, he injures the Autobot, and then it ties it together.
Yes.
Oh, they did it again. Dang it, Disney.
I love that movie.
It's so good.
I get so pumped up.
Do you think that the sequel is going to be about the Underminer?
What if they've been like actually working on this?
5 minutes.
Do you think they've been working on the sequel the whole time, or
No.
they just started working on it?
I think that they probably thought like with Monsters University and Toy Story, wait till they're in college. I think probably the same thing. I think Dash and them will probably be getting into college. And then
The people who grew up.
I think the opening scene will
I love how movies are catering to our age. It's great.
It's so frustrating. Do you think that the opening scene? Okay, how about this? You know how it ended with "I'm the Underminer. I'm underneath all of you, and nothing is underneath me."
It was funny.
It's great. Do you think that will be the opening scene? Do you think that will be a newspaper article / like something that's like, oh, it shows that they defeated him, or do you think that will be the sequel?
Interesting. There was a video game that came out for the Underminer, and you had to fight the Underminer and defeat him. Yeah, I played it.
Fun.
It was pretty fun. I could see it. The opening scene is them fighting the Underminer, and then they destroy the Underminer. That'd be pretty cool.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you think that they're gonna do another superheroes need to be retired or
No, there's no way they would do the same thing. If they are in fact older,
it's probably the kids who take over?
I don't know. No, probably not. Because Mr. Incredible is, you just can't not have him fight.
Yeah, you can't have. They would just be the OKs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I can't. Pixar has done a pretty beautiful thing. The reason I was also so impressed with Zootopia was I felt like it was probably, I would say, Disney's first like truly original script and formula. Like I feel like Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen kind of followed. It took Pixar's formula of like you take the thing from the beginning and you tie it in at the end, and then they just made their own version of it. I felt like Zootopia was like it's just its own thing. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like when I look at Wreck-It Ralph, I feel like I've seen something like that.
There's still aspects of taking their old.
Yeah.
She took her old life and she applied it to her job near the end.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It just felt more original. Like when I watched Zootopia, I didn't feel like I was watching another movie I'd seen before. When I watched Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen, I felt like I was like in it. Like
Frozen, I feel like Frozen
definitely
more so.
Frozen, yeah.
I didn't like Frozen that much, but maybe it was
I hate
because
how it's
the
so
hype.
loud.
The hype happened before I watched it. That might be why I didn't like it.
No, that was the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "This is amazing," so I was like, "Fine."
I watched it
this.
thinking to be amazing, and then it was less than amazing.
It was like okay.
It was
and
great.
Olaf
It
wasn't
amazing.
even that funny. Everyone loved Olaf, and I was just like, Olaf is Mater. Olaf is he's just the comic
I like
relief
Mater
guy.
better than I love Mater.
Mater is great.
I like Mater better than Olaf.
But there's just
Olaf's like the innocent, cute guy.
Olaf is Baymax. Olaf is Mater. Olaf is Dory, except Dory's a little more memorable. Is a lot more memorable actually. But it's just like there's that character that you put in there that's for comic relief, and you're just like, he's just that's. I don't know. I was really glad that Zootopia didn't have an Olaf.
Yeah.
Like I thought about that.
The Incredibles doesn't have an Olaf.
Yes, movies without Olafs are more memorable.
The Incredibles was a lot more serious too. There wasn't as many slapstick, funny moments in The Incredibles, and neither was Zootopia. Zootopia had a couple jokes that were funny, but it was more serious. I
liked how Mr. Incredible went and taught his customers how to get around their loopholes. He's like, okay, like I can't recommend this, but if you were in this situation, then I would file for this person and an extension for this. It's like, our customers, Bob, they're dodging every loophole and like, avoiding every obstacle.
Actually, I never caught that when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you off screen. This is something
off camera.
Off camera. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's about it. Is it time for story time? Is that what you're
time
doing?
for story time?
I don't know.
Absolutely. So
All
my
right.
story of the week.
Take it away.
David's story time with Gino.
David's
story
Featuring Gino.
That was good. Well, today I received a phone call today.
Oh, really? Oh, this isn't funny. This is like
It's a really funny,
depressing.
it's super depressing. 2 years ago, I got into an accident, and I accidentally. So what happened was I'm driving along the side of the road. There's snow on the road, and the snow started to pull my tire to the edge of the road, and the edge of the road had like a drop, like like when the cement touches the grass and the cement
Yeah.
it's above the level of cement is a little bit higher than the level of grass, and so my tire, when it reaches the edge, it drops.
Yeah.
And so it's dragging along the edge of the cement, and I'm losing control.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to steer away, steer, and because it's on snow, I am I lose control. I slide and I steer into the oncoming lane.
Yeah.
I hit a car. I vaguely remember it. I black out. If you see the picture, I mean, like my car was demolished.
I saw it.
I don't know how the girl was, but I asked how she was. The doctors wouldn't tell me. They said it was personal information and that they couldn't tell me anything. I was just like, okay, that's fine. You can't even tell me if she's okay. They're like, no, that's her information. We can't give it to you. And I was just like, whatever. 2 years later,
And it was considered your fault, right?
it was considered my fault because I was
In the wrong lane.
It was called failure to yield to traffic. That was what the ticket was cited.
Oh, really?
And
Because usually the rule of thumb is the car that hits the other car is usually the car's fault. But because
I was
you were in the other lane,
and I get it, you need to pin someone and make it their fault. But sometimes I just wish that they'd be like, weather accident. I couldn't help it. There was nothing I could do to keep my car from sliding.
So did you have to pay for?
I had to pay $25 for the ticket, and my insurance covers all of that.
Oh,
so
okay. That's
2
good.
years later, I receive a phone call today, and I find out that I'm getting sued.
So you are for sure getting sued?
Not for sure, but they have tried to settle for the last 8 months on a claim, and they refuse to take a settlement.
Wow.
And so they're like, yeah, just wanted to let you know that you could be getting a letter about getting sued. I was just like, that's wonderful. And I asked her all the questions. Progressive said that they would cover up to $100,000, and they're only asking for $35,000, and so I'll be fine.
$35,000.
They're asking for $35,000, and yeah, so it was crazy. I was like,
So does that mean you have to pay $35,000?
No. Progressive. So when you have insurance, they are able to cover a certain amount of medical bills, a certain amount of this, and a certain amount of if someone tries to sue you. And so my coverage at the time was for $100,000, and so they're only asking for $35,000. And so no matter what, even if they get the most that they're asking for, I'll be fine. But it was just crazy that I got a call 2 years later that they're trying to sue me.
Yeah.
And, I asked her, I was just like, "Is the girl okay? Was she severely hurt to the point where I would understand her getting a suit?" She said no. She just had some bruises. She had to take a little bit of PT, physical therapy, to recover whatever caused it. And it was just like, okay, got it, but she's fine. And they said yeah. So I was like, well, I'm glad she's okay, but 2 years later, you're trying to sue me. I just thought it was.
And they didn't say why it's taking 2 years. Is she just?
They said for the last 8 months they just refused to take an offer. They've offered okay, we'll give you this much. We understand it was a lot of it was a painful thing. You did have to take PT, so we'll give you a little extra money. But they're like, no, that's not enough. We want $35,000. And it was just like, well, we can't do that. That's not even close to the amount that you had to pay. They said that the amount that they paid in bills was about $12,000. And they're asking for $35,000 in return, so that's why they've been fighting.
It seems at that point they're just trying to make money.
Exactly, and that's what they think it is too. But they just called me and they're like, "We don't want to throw you off."
I wish our system wasn't set up so you could make money off of other people if they make a mistake. I don't know. To an extent.
Did you know that if you go to Starbucks, your coffee's going to be hot?
Well, that's why they had to write on the coffee.
Exactly. This
caution may be hot. Right. It's just
It's
these
just
little
trained
loopholes that
people
have
to look
be
for
there.
inconveniences to make money. It's
Mhm.
outrageous. I love America. Hoorah! Make America
Merc.
great again. Anything else that you want to add? Where can people find us?
People can find us at OOO Podcast. I always want to say .com at the end.
Yeah.
At oopodcast.com. Or on YouTube, Out of Order Podcast. We definitely prefer YouTube over any other social media rhetoric. But
Yeah,
you can
if
find
you
us
have
on
any
SoundCloud as well.
suggestions- Yeah, if you have any suggestions for what we should talk about on
Tweet
the
at
next
us.
episode, tweet at us. Or email us. The email is outoforderpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
And if you have any questions or anything at all, connect with us in that way.
Yep.
I think that's everything.
Follow me on Twitter.
Follow him on Twitter.
At CanadaBoyDavid.
And mine is, we've already talked about it. It's
At Goog One Eyes.
It's Googly Eyes, but it's Goog One Eyes, GOG1.
Just say Google One Eyes, I'd say.
Whatever.
All right.
All right. Well, that's everything, folks.
All right.
Have a Temper-Pedic day, except we're going to do it again.
All right.
1,
everybody.
2, 3.
Have a Temper-Pedic day.